All right, hello everyone. My name is Noha, and hi Vered. And I'm sorry I crashed your party. Feel free to crash mine as well. You're totally welcome as a revenge, but we can also have a conversation. That was really funny. That helped me remove some of the stress that I was having because I was a little bit nervous about this presentation. So I'm going to be talking about navigating cultures, and the reason why I that is they related to my background. So I am Tunisian from North Africa, and I have been traveling a lot, and I've been working in different countries and living in different countries. And I realized that by doing that, it helped me really build resilience. And to be fair, like it was not my plan. Like I was not looking for resilience building or anything. Like the one thing that I was looking for is to fit in. I was very often the new person in the room, in the class, in the country, at work, and I wanted just like to feel part of whatever was happening, and have new friends and have a social life and have a career and so on. So I don't really have a playbook. I'm going to be sharing different things that I have been doing. I don't know if that's the right recipe, but I was hoping that I could share a little bit about who I am, and that can help maybe inspire you a little bit. And if nothing else, that will make you smile a little bit too and learn something new. All right, so I'm going to start with this because, yeah, I think I'm like everyone, and I think I'm totally like a pandemic and a COVID stereotype, and I have been doing all of this at once. So I'm working from home, like a lot of people, which I'm very grateful for because that makes me feel safe, but I also like I feel good, I'm healthy, and I have a job and family as well. I'm baking more often. I'm growing tomatoes and herbs. I am working out. I had Zoom drinks and I'm organizing picnics. I think that pretty much everything that you can do when you are quarantined. But if you have anything else or anything new that you are doing, please feel free to share it in the chat. I would love to see it afterwards to be inspired in case I run out of activities. A little bit more about me. So I know that they say very often that your job doesn't really define who you are. And I kind of agree with that. However, I spent 9 years at Vistaprint, and that shaped a lot of my life. I worked in 3 different countries for Vistaprint. So I traveled, I learned new languages, I had new roles, I made new friends, and I learned new technologies and new tools. And one of the things that I'm most passionate about is small businesses. I come from a family where my family members are mostly small businesses. My grandfather had a grocery store, and it felt to me like it's a way to give back. So I'm very passionate about small businesses. And I work in technology and product management, and I build new services and experiences that make them feel more confident and more credible to market themselves. And I work mostly in the design experience. So a little bit more here because I really like numbers. So 18 is actually the number of years that I spent working with customers. And this is the first time that I write this number down. And I was like, oh my God, I spent all of these years working. I'm quite excited about retirement right now. I hope not, but why not? 5 is the number of countries where I lived. 4 is the number of languages that I speak. And infinite number of experiences and friends that I made along the way. So that's basically something that's I want to share about my background so that it makes more sense for the story that I'm sharing here about resilience and about the culture that I want to navigate across my experience. So it has been mainly about 3 things. It's not everything that I'm sharing here, and it's not the same thing for everyone's, but for me, 3 main things have helped me navigate the different culture that I have been exposed to and that I have lived. Number one is the languages, for obvious reasons. When you go to different countries where they speak different language, and you want to understand what's going on and communicate and have a social life and do work. Number 2, running, and that sounds a little bit strange, but I'll explain a little bit more afterwards what it means. And number 3, I think we all agree on this: food. That's super important, and I'm going to be closing with that afterwards. So languages, it takes a lot of consistency and a lot of endurance. And I want to talk about 2 different languages that I learned. So I learned English to keep a job that I liked, and I learned Spanish to make new friends. I'm also a huge fan of Ricky Martin since I was a teenager, and that helped me understand what he was saying. When I joined Vistaprint 9 years ago, I only spoke French and Arabic. And I showed up and everyone spoke English and all the presentations were in English and all the meetings were in English. And I was taking one of my friends and my teammate with me so that they helped me translate what was going on and I could answer and then they will translate back and so on. I don't understand how they hired me back then. And I got a little bit desperate because I really liked my job, but I couldn't really, it was not really sustainable for me to keep going that way. And I asked a friend what I should be doing. Like really, I was helpless. And he said, just listen to radio every day. And I said, what radio? And he said, NPR. So I started listening to NPR. And I think it happened for 3 months where I stopped listening to music. And I just, because I'm a huge consumer of music, and I was just listening to radio every day, all day long. And it really made a difference for me because at first I was not able to understand anything. And then with the repetition of the news, I could recognize some words. And then I started visualizing the words and I could really compare them to French because basically it's like very, very close when it comes to it written. And then I started really understanding and got very familiar with the accent that at least was being spoken on NPR. It did not help me speak English like fluently and tell my life stories after a month, but I could at least do my job for a while. And I think it took me a year to be able to talk about something that happened like in my day-to-day life. But before that, it was only about work. And at 6 or 5, I was exhausted and I was switching back to my other language. And then Spanish, it was mainly with music, but also through people, and something also that I mentioned earlier. So it really helped me get more actually integrated, and also like a shout out for my colleagues because they were very patient, they were speaking slowly, and they really believed in me. And here I am. I think my English has improved a little bit since then. I think if you're able to understand me, some accent is there, but I think I'm doing a much more decent job than 9 years ago. And then while learning English, I learned 2 main things. Number one, English is very thoughtful. So it's an example like my boss some years ago told me, we're looking at the presentation, and he was like, I think you want to change the slide. And I said, no, I don't want to. And he says, well, if I think you want to change it, that would look better. And I was really puzzled by it. And I was like, how do you know what I want? Like, this is really strange to me. I don't think you know what I want. I went all Mediterranean on him, and he didn't understand what was going on. And then I took a step back, and then I asked him, do you mean you should change the slide? And he's like, yeah. I'm like, can you just say it? Like, you're being extremely thoughtful. I didn't really understand what you wanted. It's the same thing when I'm driving and someone says, you want to turn left. In my language and my culture, you just say, turn left. And I'm always like, why do you think I want to? I just have to turn left. It's like I have a choice, but I don't really have the choice. I have to turn left. Another thing that I find quite interesting is that a lot of things can mean the same thing. So I'm in, I'm down, I'm up for it. They all mean the same thing, which I find extremely interesting with the language. And I keep, until now, learning so many new things. I used to have a team. I used to be part of a team that helped me learn a lot of different expressions, and now they're my friends and they keep teaching me a lot of new expressions, and I think I will never stop learning, and it's something that I'm really passionate about. Now let's talk a little bit about running. So when I used to work in Spain, what happened is that I was new, I didn't know a lot of people, I wanted to have an activity, and I'm like, I don't know, I was traveling a lot, I am not really sure what I should be doing. I cannot take a dancing class, for example, because I'll be missing a lot of classes. I wouldn't be able to make a lot of progress. So I started running, and I am not a great runner, and I have been running now for 5 years, and I'm still not a great runner, but I did it. And then I found myself being like going from a couch potato to a person who runs a marathon, just because I was inspired by so many people. I made new friends. I improved my Spanish speaking skills. I visited cities running. I learned also that it's not about being the best at something. It's about being always better every day. Is that I have to compete with myself to get better every day. And this is the main thing that I want to be excited about. The other thing that I learned is that resting improves my performance, and resting is part of the training. And if I keep running every day, actually I'm exhausting myself, and I am not really improving, which is also part of like life concepts. It's like you need to take a step back and rest in order to perform. And then the best thing, and that's also a transition for what's going to happen afterwards, is that as a typical, stereotypical Mediterranean, I realize that by running more, I can have more pasta and more olive oil. If you have any thoughts about that, please put it in the chat. I will be excited, very excited to have a conversation about that. I have a reputation about pasta and olive oil among my friends. So then we're transitioning very quickly to food. And I think here we all agree that part of discovering a culture and sharing culture is sharing the food. And by sharing your food, you are telling a story, you are telling who you are telling people that you care about them, and they learn a lot about you. And you also learn a lot about them by exploring their culture. And this is how I think a year later, after I moved to the US, so I moved here 3.5 years ago. I became the turkey person for Thanksgiving, and I make a lot of Mediterranean things, and my friends have taught me to make the turkey, and it's something now that I do every year since I moved here. And these are my closest friends that I met mostly here in Boston and who became my community. They have different backgrounds, they have different stories, and I keep learning every day more about them and about their lives and about their stories and about their background through the food that we are sharing every day and sharing and exploring. And it's something that I'm very passionate about, and that has gotten really better during the pandemics because I got more time to cook and bake, like a lot of people. I wish we could be sharing more, but we will do that in the future as things get better. So I think that's pretty much it for what I want to share with you. So thank you so much for having me, She Geeks Out, and DraftKings as well. Thank you for all the friends and team members who joined today and the new people that I got to know. I'm very excited to meet you again and to network with you later. And I'm open for questions now.